Beijing is betting that deploying an 80,000-ton metal titan into the Pacific, the world's primary trade artery, will allow them to pull off the most perfect naval blockade ever attempted. But strategic brilliance isn't exclusive to one side, and Tokyo has zero plans to sit back while the geopolitical board is being rearranged. The Japanese leadership has already peered through the fog and recognized exactly what that massive steel silhouette on the horizon actually signifies: the crown jewel of China's naval power. The Fujian carrier isn't just some metal behemoth drifting around to check off boxes on a military roadmap. It is the centerpiece of a ruthless chokehold designed to isolate Taiwan and paralyze the global semiconductor trade in one fell swoop. Generals in Beijing think they've already pulled the pin on a flashpoint that will turn the whole Asia-Pacific region into a total powder keg. If you look at their tactical maps, you'll see the crosshairs aren't just centered on Taipei's front door. The real goal of this maritime trap is Japan, which they've marked as the first piece to fall in a wider regional collapse. This massive pincer move to hem in Tokyo is a collaborative scheme between Beijing and Moscow, and they're banking on it running like clockwork. Yet there is a massive blind spot in Beijing's master plan that could ruin everything. The tidal wave they're trying to kick up is about to slam into a wall of Japanese resolve, as Tokyo has already cleared its deck for action. We're about to witness how this supposedly bulletproof blockade gets shredded by Japan's cutting-edge railgun technology and a digital cloak that makes them virtually untouchable. Truth be told, this entire Chinese play could fall apart in just 168 hours, once the joint might of Japan and the United States starts swinging. It sounds wild, right? But as the layers are peeled back, the initial shock turns into a deeper realization of the stakes involved. The massive defensive umbrella Japan has deployed from its shores to the sky is the first major wake-up call for its rivals. When you look at the bigger picture, seeing the United States plug the final holes with a massive naval surge makes the whole strategy click into place. Throw in high-tech signal-jamming jets, rail-based cannons and carriers packed with fifth-generation stealth fighters, and that Chinese flagship could be sunk within 24 hours. All these assets are already on a hair trigger in the Pacific, and neither Beijing nor Moscow realizes their blockade could be dismantled in a single afternoon. So how did this joint defense strategy between Tokyo and Washington come together so flawlessly and so fast? What sparked this sudden allied countermove? This is where we have to look at China's biggest card on the table. We're talking about the Fujian carrier, the single biggest threat keeping Japanese planners up at night. This isn't your average boat. It's an 80,000-ton floating airfield packed with electromagnetic launch tech that puts it in a league of its own. This metal giant is the clearest sign yet that the Chinese Navy is dead set on catching up to American military standards. Thanks to its electromagnetic catapults, the Fujian has a massive leg up on the older, clunkier carriers used in the past. It can catapult heavy-duty jets and surveillance planes into the air at a much higher frequency, which is a total game-changer for combat ops. The logic is simple. The faster you launch, the bigger your defensive bubble, and the quicker you can react to any incoming threat. That launch speed allows Chinese pilots to blanket the skies over Taiwan with a much more suffocating and dangerous presence. Even though the Fujian is just doing drills right now, its real job won't be to just sit there and shell the Taiwanese coastline. It serves a much bigger purpose in an actual conflict. It would park itself strategically on Taiwan's eastern flank. By sitting right off Japan's southern islands, it creates a buffer zone that cuts off any reinforcements trying to sail in from the north. Basically, the Fujian is designed to be a steel barrier floating in the Pacific, keeping Japan at bay while the ground invasion takes place. Meanwhile, Russia is leaning on Japan from the other side to keep the pressure at a boiling point. The Russian Pacific Fleet is already stirring the pot running sub-hunting drills near Hokkaido and flexing its muscles inside Japan's maritime zones. Plus, Russian MiG-31s armed with hypersonic Kinzhal missiles are patrolling nearby, putting a 2,000-kilometer range of fire over the region. Moscow is sending a loud and clear message: if Japan tries to help Taiwan, the Russians are going to get involved. This isn't just some small-scale border dispute we're watching. We are witnessing a global pincer move along the Asian coast that has the potential to spark a worldwide conflict. This combined bullying by Beijing and Moscow is exactly what pushed Japan to finally take the gloves off. Tokyo is currently undergoing a military buildup, the likes of which haven't been seen since the 1940s. Prime Minister Sane Takaichi's aggressive posture is a sign that Japan is done playing the quiet observer and is ready to strike back. Takaichi views China's maritime expansion as the most dangerous threat to Japanese sovereignty in the modern era. The logic is simple: if China breaks through the island chain, Japan's economic survival is effectively over. Nearly 90% of Japan's energy and trade flows right through those waters near Taiwan. If Taiwan falls, Chinese forces end up less than 300 kilometers from Okinawa, giving Beijing total control over Japan's trade routes. To avoid this disaster, Japan has launched a massive counteroffensive in the world of electronic warfare, the invisible battlefield of the future. Japan's homegrown Kawasaki EC-2SOJ electronic warfare bird just took to the skies for its first test. This plane doesn't carry a single bomb or missile. Its weapons are strictly algorithms, radio frequencies, and microwave signals. Its goal is to stay well outside the reach of China's lethal air defenses. The priority is blinding enemy radars and killing comms from a safe distance. These jets can even spoof missile guidance. If a conflict starts, China's J-20 stealth fighters or S-400 batteries would see only static. But electronic warfare planes have massive heavy frames, making them slow targets once they are airborne. Specifically, the waves of cheap AI-driven suicide drones China has built in bulk are a deadly threat. Since flying solo near China is basically suicide, this plane needs a heavy-duty fighter escort. This is where Japan's light aircraft carrier project for projecting air power offshore comes into play. They are overhauling the massive Izumo and Kaga ships once claimed to be just for helicopters. With reinforced decks and heat shielding, these are now true carriers. Vertical takeoff F-35Bs will be their primary punch. China's massive missile stash is programmed to wreck every mainland Japanese runway early in a war. However, by putting F-35Bs on these mobile ships, Japan is turning its air force into floating bases. A wing of F-35Bs from an Izumo-class ship can slip through China's radar nets using stealth. These jets can shield electronic warfare planes and lock down the skies over Taiwan. This creates a brand new massive tactical headache that the Chinese military must now consider. Yet Japan isn't stopping at just stealth jets and missiles. They are fielding cutting-edge weapon systems that look straight out of a science fiction movie. Japan's Ministry of Defense just finished the first successful ship-mounted electromagnetic railgun tests. These trials on the JS Asuka are a world first. This railgun does not use gunpowder. It slings projectiles through the barrel using massive electromagnetic surges at unbelievable speeds. This weapon fires steel darts traveling at over 2,000 meters every second. The rounds hit their target at exactly 6.5 times the speed of sound. No current air defense system can stop a physical slug moving at that velocity. Plus, Japan managed 120 straight shots fixing old problems like melting barrels. They even successfully hit a real target ship out on the water. The system's best perk is hitting the target in seconds at an incredibly low cost. We are talking about 1% of a normal missile's price. China's multi-million-dollar hypersonic missiles could be smashed by cheap steel. Japan is also testing a 100-kilowatt laser. The worst nightmare in modern war is wasting millions on missiles to kill a $20,000 drone. This lopsided cost war could drain the defense budgets of even the wealthiest nations very quickly. But Japan's new-gen laser has infinite ammo as long as the power is running. A cloud of Chinese drones or an incoming mortar shell in the air is instantly spotted by the laser and silently burned to a crisp in seconds. Railguns and high-power lasers are turning the Japanese fleet into an unbreakable shield against Chinese missiles. Don't overlook the coastal defense missiles either. These weapons are among Beijing's biggest fears. Japan's military has put new Type 12 anti-ship missiles with a 620-mile range in Kumamoto. A 1,000-kilometer reach is definitely not your average distance. These can hit ships' Chinese ports or even Shanghai, proving Japan won't just wait around to be hit. It's a clear warning to Beijing they can strike first to kill threats at the source. Even with this tech, Japan knows it can't face this massive regional power all by itself. This is where the United States, the global powerhouse and Pacific watchdog, comes in. The Navy sent the destroyer USS Mustin to Yokosuka to push back against China's military boldness. The USS Mustin is way more than just 9,000 tons of floating metal. It's a top-tier R-League Burke-class warship with the Aegis system acting as a one-ship defense shield. More than 90 vertical firing tubes are integrated right into the vessel's deck. These bays hold SM-6 missiles that can hit targets near space and tomahawks built for striking ground objectives hundreds of miles away. Having the USS Mustin docked at the Yokosuka Naval Base carries immense weight in the eyes of Beijing. This location stands as the most vital military nerve center for Japan. America's choice to park such intense firepower here directly challenges China's goal of pushing past the first island chain. That is why the Chinese government views the ship's patrols near Japan as a blatant attempt to undermine their sea power. The Aegis system's sensors can track China's aircraft carrier killer ballistic missiles in just a few seconds. Plus, it has what it takes to intercept and destroy those threats in mid-flight. Basically, China's strongest asset for wiping out US and Japanese fleets could be rendered useless by this one ship in Japanese waters. This alliance goes way beyond just sailing together. Both countries are now pushing their joint defense strategy into deep space. When Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi meets Donald Trump in D.C. this March, she will finalize a plan called Golden Dome. This $175 billion project serves as a futuristic, continental-sized version of the Israeli Iron Dome. The mission is to spot and neutralize hypersonic weapons from China and Russia that currently seem impossible to intercept. Japan isn't just some silent investor in this massive undertaking. They are stepping in as true partners, linking their own advanced Spy-7 radars and Aegis vessels into the network. If Golden Dome actually happens, China's nuclear and standard missile threats will be mostly neutralized. Space-based satellites will tag missiles for destruction in seconds, while China's state media claims Tokyo is returning to its aggressive military past. Beijing is sounding the alarm that Tokyo has sparked a brand new arms race across Asia. But if you ask Tokyo or Washington, they see a completely different reality. They argue Beijing is the one swarming Taiwan with jets and planting sea mines, violating their airspace every single day. When 36 jets and 9 warships surround the island in one day, Tokyo feels they have no choice but to fortify. They are stretching out runways and deepening the ports on Japan's southern island of Iwo Jima. Engineers are also busy constructing brand new bunkers for their fighter planes. Islands are being turned into permanent armored fortresses with advanced sensors and missiles as both sides wait for a spark. They are throwing everything they have into the mix to ensure they are the ones left standing after the first shot. To put it another way, the calm waters of the Pacific are reaching a boiling point. On one side, you have a China that is dead set on bringing Taiwan back into the fold at any price. They are tightening their grip with massive ships like the Fujian and putting their faith in hypersonic tech. Facing them is a Japan that has been jolted awake by a serious threat to its national survival. Tokyo is moving past its pacifist history to set up a defense line featuring lasers, railguns, and U.S. Aegis systems. In this tense atmosphere, a single mistake, a radar glitch, or a misunderstood radio call would be enough to spark an all-out, unstoppable war. So how do you see this massive Pacific power struggle playing out? Can Japan's next-gen tech and American naval muscle really break the huge blockade China has put in place? Or are we looking at a totally different future for the region? We want to hear your thoughts. Thanks for tuning in.